Hello kindergarten, so today we're going to start painting these pears. And we've talked about and looked at still lifes and still lifes of pears. And remember, a still life is objects that an artist sets up that can't get up and walk away on their own. So objects that don't have a mind of their own, that don't breathe and live. So these pears, they can't get up and walk away. They don't have arms and legs. And so they're considered a still life. They're still and they don't move. And you can see our paint palette. So we have some muted colors, a muted red-orange, a muted green, and a muted yellow to kind of match some of the colors that we see in the pears. And you're going to get to pick what color you want for the background, and then the other two colors will be left for the pears. So this one I chose a red-orange background, but then I have one here where I use that golden yellow for the background and use the red-orange and the green for the pears. So the way that you're going to start this picture is you're going to get a white piece of paper. You need to write your name and the day you have art, day A, day B, day C. Flip it over. And you're going to use my circle pattern to draw the bottom of your pear. So you don't want to push really hard with your pencil when you're tracing the circle. You want it to be kind of light and not push real hard. And you're going to start with one circle in the middle and then a circle on either side. And then the shape of a pear, we talked about the shape of a pear and how the bottom kind of almost looks like it could be a circle, but the top is more kind of pulled or squished. And so you're going to draw kind of like a long, tall, skinny hill on the top of the circles. So it could be tall and go near the top of the paper, or you could do more of a shorter pear. And you're going to draw those on top of each circle. Then I want you to take your eraser and erase the part of the circle that's under the hill, that's between those two lines for the hill. Because for some reason you can kind of see through the paint when we paint these, and you'll be able to see the tops of those circles, so I'd prefer not to see those. Then you're going to take a black oil pastel, press hard, and go over your pencil lines. If you don't go over them exactly, that's okay. Don't try to erase the pencil, just leave it, and we'll just do the best we can. So you're going to press real hard. And then the stem of a pear is skinny, so you're not going to make a real thick stem. You're just going to kind of draw a line that starts inside the pear and goes outside the pear. They're also not real long stems, so just kind of a shortish line. Then you're going to put a brown paper under your work. And there's a little bit of an edge, so make sure your white paper fits on, but it'll be a close, tight fit. And then you're going to look at your paint palette and you're going to pick one of these three colors to paint. Now in your paint palette there's going to be some white. You might not be able to see that on the screen, but there is some white paint in there. You're not going to choose that as your background color. So I'm going to choose this green color for my background, and you're just going to paint the whole space around your pears. And you can just paint over the top of your stem. We'll still be able to see that through the paint. So try your best to fill in all the white spaces. A nice even coating of paint all the way to the very edge of your white paper and all the way to the very edge of each pear. So if you push down with your paintbrush, you get a nice wide paint area. So you get a nice wide line, but then if you keep your paintbrush up on its tiptoes and you don't push as much, you get a skinnier line to be able to fit between the pears. So practice with your pressure, how hard you push. If you push down hard on your paintbrush, not really hard, but you push down pretty firmly, you get a nice wide area of paint. If you keep it up on its tiptoes and you don't push real hard, you'll be able to kind of fit between those skinny little spaces between your pear. Now I like to hold my paper down inside the pears where there's no paint. So if I put my fingers down in the pear, inside where there's no paint, I can finish painting the edges of my paper and the paper won't move. If I don't, then see how the paper moves? But if I hold my hand down in the clean spot so I don't get paint on my hands, I can paint and my paper doesn't move. So now that I've painted the background, I want to rinse my paintbrush off. So you're going to swish your paintbrush around in the water. And then you're going to need to dry it off on a sponge. So we have this plate with a sponge. You're going to rinse your paintbrush off real good, and then you're going to take your paintbrush and pull it across the top of the sponge. Don't use the side that has the printed colored side, just use the messy side and pull your paintbrush. Don't push it. Pull it until you don't get any more water out of your paintbrush. And then you're going to have two colors left over. We're not worried about the white right now. So the other two colors, you're going to paint your pears. You have 3 pears, but you have 2 colors. So 2 pears are going to be the same color. You can paint whatever 2 pears you want the same color, and the other one the color left over. So I'm going to paint 2 pears this red-orange color. And see how I filled in all the white spaces. There's no white paper poking through. I painted it on nice and thick. Alright, now I'm done painting those 2 pears. I rinse my paintbrush off. Get all the paint off of it. Dry it on the paper, on the sponge, pull it across the sponge. If you get colored paint on the sponge, you know you didn't rinse it off all the way and you need to swish it around again. And then my last color for my last pear. Okay, now I need to rinse my paintbrush off, dry it off, and then we're going to add a highlight to our pears. So like the light is shining on our pears. And if you remember, back in October when we painted our pumpkins, we used white oil pastel on the top of our pumpkin to make it look like the moon was shining on our pumpkin. Well, we're going to use white paint today instead of white oil pastel, and so that's why you have a little bit of white paint in your paint tray. And you're going to get some white on your paintbrush, and you're going to pick either the left-hand side of each of your pears to add a highlight to, or the right-hand side. And you can add just a little highlight at the top, or if you want, you can bring a longer line down, but it's just one quick sweep. It's not painting a whole bunch of the side white. It's just a quick little short sweep of your paintbrush. Pull it across, dip it in the white, pull it across, dip it in the white, pull it across, and then you're finished. Your paintbrush can just be left in the bowl of water, and then both papers are going to go on the drying rack, and you have completed your beautiful painted pear still life. Good job, kindergarten.